What's going on, everybody? We are back here live here on the OT Radio Show, and we got a good show for y'all today. Today we have actor, director, writer, and CEO of Focus Studio, Mr. Kyree Terrell, join us here today. And like I said, this one is good, y'all, because first of all, we're celebrating something special here in Red October. Our Phillies, y'all, has done it again. We are going to the World Series here in Philadelphia. Shout out to all my Philly teams, especially the Phillies, the Flyers, the Sixers, even though the Sixers like 0-3. But, hey, we still got to root for the home team. But, hey, y'all, today we have Mr. Kyree Terrell is going to be joining us here today. And like I said, the show is about to start. We'll be back here live right with Mr. Kyree Terrell here on the OT Radio Show.
I'm on that radio, I speak it though, what's on your mind is deep though, we'll speak it though, we on the air, just take it there, I'ma take it there, hold up, yeah I talk about it, but I'm real about it, I speak on it, but don't catch films about it, we can chop it up, like it's nothing baby.
Today, we are bringing in actor, director, writer, and CEO of Focus Studio, Mr. Kyree Terrell, is joining us here today to talk about his new upcoming film, Money Lovers. And when I tell y'all, it should be, he got the screening on the 27th, so listen up this month. It's coming out. But before we get started, let me go ahead and tell y'all right now. Right now, everyone, we want to tell y'all that our scholarship that we have for high school seniors in the medical field, hurry up and apply. Right now, we are going through applications now, reading people essays. So if you are a high school senior with a 2.5 GPA that's going into the medical field, we have a scholarship for you. Yes, we have a scholarship for you. Our goal is to help out 10 kids. 10 kids. That is our goal, to help out 10 kids here on the OT Radio Show. Yes, our scholarshipboard.org. Shout out to board.org for, partnering with us to bring the scholarship to you. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. And right now we got our guy, Mr. Kyree Terrell, join us here on the show. Our producer said he is in. I think our producer, he is in. Yes, he's in, but I guess he's going back and forth. But let me talk to y'all a little bit about a couple of things. A couple of things I'm going to talk to y'all about. Business. Listen, if you have your own business, I'm going to say this to you. Regardless of what people say, how people say it, what people think, that's your vision. Your vision is what matters. No one else. It's your vision. So keep on with your vision. Even if it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years, keep on with your vision, because your vision matters to you, not nobody else. Understand that your vision matters to you and not nobody else, because everyone can't take this road trip with you. So that goes for family, that goes for friends, that goes for everybody. So you got a t-shirt business, you starting a podcast, you starting film, you starting writing. Do it. Study your craft. You got time. Don't say, oh man, I ain't got no time. Listen, if you driving every day to work and your work only takes you 30 minutes or 45 minutes to get to work, you got time. Instead of you listening to the radio, listen to an audiobook. Study your craft. I want to tell you, you have time. Don't never say that you don't have no time. Our producer said Mr. Kyree is here, ready to join us. Mr. Kyree, are you ready to join us? Our producer said he's in, ready to talk to us. So let's go ahead and bring on Mr. Kyree Terrell is joining us here on the show. Please undo your microphone before we can go ahead and bring you in. I guess he's having a little bit of technical difficulties. That's what it seems like. And I'm going to get on him about that too a little bit because, Mr. Kyree, the CEO of Focus Studio, nah, nah. So me and you going to have a long conversation. But listen, y'all, he's Philly owned. Philly owned, y'all. We are proud of that because OT is representing Philly all day, every day. We have him on. Our producer said he is ready. He is focused, ready to have conversations with us, and we ready to have conversations with him. So, Mr. Kyree, how are you feeling today, sir?
What's up, man? What's up? I gotta figure out what it is with the new iPhone because I can't do StreamYard on my phone. I didn't
Wow.
do it on my desktop, but at least since we on my desktop, I guess I can at least throw some I can throw some promo up, right? Let's at least do
Yeah. Yeah, definitely,
at least do
definitely.
that. Let's see what we got here. Here we go. Since we talking about money lovers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So yeah, man, I apologize for the waiting audience, man. I was on, but I wasn't on because I couldn't hear nothing you were saying. So I was like, man, let me just get on my desktop. But here I go,
Yeah.
y'all. Hey y'all.
What up with you, man? So first, man, congratulations on the new film that's going to be hitting out there, Money Lovers. I know y'all got on the 27th. Y'all doing y'all big premiere on the 27th.
Right.
So shout out to that. Shout out to you. So before we get into all that, man, you got an interesting backstory. So can you give our fans and listeners and people that's going to be watching the replay, you know, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Where do I begin? Where do I start, man? I'm living proof that you can chase your dreams down. I'll say that for sure. I know I'm still getting adjusted to where I'm at. I didn't mean to be right here, y'all, but um, I'm a self-made director, videographer, content creator. I came up in the system. I lived in foster care systems, group homes, the whole nine. And I always knew that I would be better when I got older than my surroundings dictated. So, when I went to college at Temple, I was emancipated and put into what they call independent living, where they basically pay for you to have a little apartment. They be in the government, the DHS, the child care system. You have a little apartment as long as you're in school. So went to school for communications and theater. And I immediately started jumping on stages at 17, doing anything I could, whether it was singing, rapping, dancing, acting. That's my alarm for the show, actually. I'm sorry. But I just continued to get my face and my performances wherever they could. Started doing a bunch of plays in my 20s. And I've worked a lot. New York, DC, Baltimore area, Florida. I've worked a lot, whether it be on stages or as a model. But I always had a passion for filmmaking. But back then, I always thought filmmaking was just too expensive of a craft, and how was I ever going to get into it? And it wasn't until I was actually robbed for a modeling competition that I was in that I clearly won. Not just saying that because I'm me, I really clearly won. But it was that experience that taught me. I was like, okay, I have to figure out how I'm going to dictate my own success, how I'm going to make sure that no one else can ever tell me no. And it was at that time where I was riding home back to Philly from New York, and I was like, what do I want to do? What do I want to be with my life? And the answer was a film director. And believe it or not, that moment was 14, almost 15 years ago. And at
Wow.
that time, I knew nothing about movie making, filmmaking. I knew what I knew as an actor, and I knew what I knew about, being in front of the camera from the many projects I had worked on, but I knew nothing about behind the camera. But I decided I was going to make it my business to learn it all so that I could get to a point where no one could tell me no.
Mm-hmm.
And that process took me, I mean, if you count Work Bay, we did Work Bay last year. No, did we do Work Bay 2020? No, we did it last year, 2021. So it took me about 11 years to get one film done. And that's not me working on that film for that amount of time. But what happened with me was when I picked up a camera, I got really good at content creation really fast. And I had some really good connections, and I just kept working for other people. And I was making good money. I'm not crying or whining about it. I started my new Philly. I was teaching other people how to become content creators, giving other people opportunities. So I'm not whining or crying about it. But I did take basically a 10-year hiatus from the reason I ever even picked up a camera, which was to do stuff like y'all see here, to basically write, direct, and act in my own stuff. So yeah, that's where we are today. I'm not, as successful as I know I'll be right now. Number one, excuse me, I don't know why I'm yelling so much. I'm just 8 and I'm not tired. But anyway, I'm nowhere near as successful as I know I will be one day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm much more successful than anyone who knew me as a kid probably thought I would get.
Wow.
And I'm happy with that. I'm in a place where I'm very happy with myself right now. Nobody has a perfect life or anything like that, but I'm very happy with the decisions that I made, especially with my craft and where I am now today based on those decisions.
See, like I always tell people, right? We got to hear the backstory because everyone only see what you are now.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to talk about people's backstory because the backstory and tell our fans and listeners and people who are going to be watching, like, listen, you know what I mean? You came from this, and now this is where you are now. And it takes time. It takes time. So let's talk a little bit. And I'm gonna say the reason why you yarning though is because it's been jumping in Philly all this weekend. You know it. It's been jumping in Philly, bro. And listen,
I've been burning the midnight oil.
Bro, I'm trying to tell you, man. Listen, I'm still tired from all this weekend, man. This weekend was jumping, man. Philly was rocking. Everybody know that our Phillies is now in the, the World Series. Our Eagles is 6-0. The Sixers in 0-3. Kind of disappointed with them.
We ain't talking about the Sixers. It's too early.
Yeah.
Get through this World Series.
So right now we in Red October with our fighting Phils, fighting Phils all day. So let's talk about your movie, right? Money Lovers.
Yes.
Take me through the creative side of this movie.
Man, the crazy part about Money Lovers, is the merging of a handful of ideas. So first, everybody, I'm sure y'all saw Set It Off. Set It Off with Queen Latifah, Jada Pinkett, Vivica Fox. Jada was in a relationship with Blair Underwood in that movie. I'm using their real names. I can't remember their Stoney, and I don't remember his name, but I always had an idea for a film that was kind of like a spinoff of their relationship, and kind of like if he was like helping her or not, but actually making him a cop, like kind of like, remember the white cop that was chasing him down?
Yeah,
I was like, damn, what if that was Blair Underwood and you had to figure out, you know what I mean? We made it more personal, you know what I'm saying? So I had the idea for a film like that in my head, right? So then Bitcoin was blowing up, and I'm not talking about right over the pandemic when it started blowing up and all of that. I'm talking about like, what was this? This had to be 2018, 2017, maybe.
Yeah.
It was like, a friend of mine and this young lady I was dealing with actually they were all Bitcoin. And So I invested, and they were actually working with a company together. I don't even remember the name of the company at this point, but I invested.
Mm-hmm.
There go another yawn. Excuse me. I invested, and I got this login to this website, and I was able to check on my percentages, and they were called something. I forget what they were calling them on this website, but I had me some Bitcoin.
Right.
So I thought.
Wow.
And the website ended up disappearing, and they basically ended up being a scam. And I still to this day don't know if the young lady and the friend of mine that were, you know, a part of it were also victims, or if they were in on it. I don't know, but I forgave them and I moved on. But nonetheless, when the pandemic did hit, and you know, all this cryptocurrency was being talked about a lot again, and Bitcoin was through the roof, I was like, damn, nobody's really talking about, you know, the scamming that's going on. You know, anytime there's money, you know, being made, there's, you know, the other side of the coin where people are trying to figure out how to scam and take that money. So that real life experience that I went through, times this idea that I had about these characters I mentioned, spawned Money Lovers. I was like, wow, there's a lot of similarities I can pull from, you know, I obviously set it off, they was robbing a bank, but you know, that's kind of that. It's crazy to say, but robbing a bank is almost old school now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't necessarily hear about bank robberies as much as you once did, because there's so many other ways to fraud and scam people now.
That's a fact.
So I was like, I'm gonna do a movie about the digital thieves that are out. You know,
I like that. I like
but
that.
I'm still bring that that Jada Pinkett and that Blair Underwood, you know, essence to it. So in a nutshell, this young lady on the far, I guess that's y'all right. It might be y'all left, my right. I don't know, but this young lady, Tiffany D, she does an amazing job as this young man's love interest. Y'all might recognize him or him. But yeah, I played a detective in this film who's chasing Tiffany down. Her character's name is Peyton. But we end up falling for each other like Blair Underwood and Jada did in their movie. And you know, you gotta come see the rest to figure out what happens with that. But she's the ringleader of a digital asset exploitation gang, and somebody got to take her down. That's a double entendre.
So let's talk about you as being that director, because you've written it and now you're directing it and now you acting in it. You know, let's go through that whole process. Like, what was the process of picking out your cast?
So that shout out goes to Nakia Jackson, Naj. She is my casting director under my company, Focus Studios. So she really helps us organize those things. She helps us reach out to folks. She helps organize, you know, web reads and web interviews and things like that. Interesting story about the casting in this. And I personally believe that when you're doing things the right way and you have a good cause, I believe that casting is divine. And I'll elaborate on what I mean about that when we speak about Tiffany again. But yeah, so that you know, hats off to Naj. She really helps me with that. As far as, you know, bringing people onto the cast, one thing I will never do is I will never sacrifice story for friendship or favor, right? So if I write something and I know someone, or I've worked with someone or acted with someone before who I know would be great at a certain role, like for example, this guy right here, he played Buck, and he almost didn't play Buck because his work schedule almost mismatched with it. But I've worked with him a ton, and I was like, he's this character, you know. So I'll do that. He still auditioned for it, but I'll do that. If I write a character and it's just jumping off the page that this is someone whose work I've seen before, I'll reach out to them and I'll be like, yo, I got a role that's made for you. Come out and read it, you know. But if I see them in it and something just ain't right, you know, I'll put them somewhere else, or I'll tell them, hey, this one ain't what I thought it was going to be with you in this spot, right? And I don't care how close to someone I am or how many times they've worked with me before. I won't put somebody in something just because they know me or just because they work with me a ton. And I think a lot of directors and casting people, they should take note of that if they don't already work that way, because I think that sometimes you can compromise the story if you do that. You know, I don't know if people even heard, like with I'm forgetting the director's name, I'm blanking, but the Idris Elba movie with it's called Beast. That his daughter, Idris's daughter, auditioned, and she wasn't right for it, you know. And Idris basically told her, like, look, you gotta take your lumps, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna win them all, and you know, he couldn't save her in that regard. But what the director, and I'm mad I can't remember his name, black director, I think it was the same dude that did the Oscars, but he basically said their chemistry was too daddy-daughter, that it wasn't allowing them to be in the roles the way he needed them to be, you know. And I respected that. I was like, I understand exactly what he means, and I would make that same, you know, question. Like, I have a son that acts, you know, and he's always like, when you gonna write something for me? When you gonna write something for me? And I'm like, I'm not gonna write nothing for you, right? But if there's a child character that, you know, is not just a few lines that I know you can deliver, you know, you then you'll be in your first movie as a lead. But yeah, I won't compromise or sacrifice. And real quick, before I know you got another question you're going to, but Tiffany was not the original lead in this film. A lot of folks don't know that. She was not the original lead. So we had another young lady, who obviously I won't mention, but she was a very talented actress. A week before the production, she dropped the bombshell on me that she'd auditioned somewhere else and that it looked like that thing was going to happen, and that she was going to choose that thing over this thing. And so we were literally scrambling days before we were supposed to go into principal photography without our lead actress. And in this film, the lead actress has more screen time than any other character. So we had like two options, and Tiffany's never done a lead in a feature film. She's a new actress, you know, albeit very talented, and I knew she could lift it, but it was a confidence in herself that, you know, had to come across. And, you know, long story short, casting is divine, because once she took the role on, we were like, what were we even ever thinking not putting her here first? She does an amazing job in this film.
Wow. So that goes to show, you know, when it's for you, it's for you. Regardless of anything that's going on, it was for you. Now, since you talked about that a little bit, you know, a lot of people really don't understand that you are very successful, man. Like, you know, you having this focus studio, you doing, you know, acting, and you being a director, and you're being a writer. Let's talk about you as being a father. How do you, as a father, handle all these things and still be a father?
Well, I think you gotta be a father first, and as a man who's responsible for other people, you got to be so selfless that you personally come last. You know, it's funny because me and my fiance were talking about this the other day, and you know, she takes up for me in ways that's like, you know, I had to let her know, like, you know, when other people seem to be using me, she doesn't like that. So I had to explain to her. I said, listen, I am probably the most dependent upon person in my family, and in a lot of ways, even my circle, my friend circle. And that's not putting anybody down and saying nobody is getting to it on their own. But what people do know is they know that I'm a resource. They know that I can make things happen. They know that I have connections. And I've worked myself into that. So people are going to ask, people are going to try and see what I can do for them. And, I had explained to her, it's the old saying, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And when you build yourself up to those heights, you have to realize that, people are going to take, not that it's your responsibility to give, but people are going to be on your line. They are going to, want certain things. And my thing is with my kids, unless they're on punishment, they've been acting up, doing wrong in school or whatever, the answer is yes when it comes to my kids. That just is what it is and what it's always going to be. Even when they're grown, because I didn't have a father. So, I'm going to over father. It's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to compensate. And I talk about that with my cousin and my homie Vern, who's one of my best friends. About we had it so rough, and we know that made us who we are today. But we've given our children such soft lives that we kind of wish they could have went through what we went through, but we know they can't, and it's not right to put them through things just for the sake of putting them through things. But it's a new generation, man, and they soft. They just
Man.
they do things different. They ain't got the same hustler spirit that we had. But yeah, in a nutshell, I come last, man. I just work hard, and I'm just very selfless, and my kids is number one to me.
Dude, listen, man, I like that, man. I definitely like that. Because we don't get to see the light of black males doing what black males do, as far as being positive role models, fathers, and stuff like that. When you look on TV now, you don't really see that. Let's just be honest. Let's call it what it is. You don't see it. And if you do see it, you rarely see a good glimpse of it. So just to hear you talking and hear where you at, that's always a positive thing, especially for this show right here, because we are all fathers. So we all go through certain things, but at the end of the day, we love our kids, we support our kids. So that's always an A1. So big ups to you, give your roses, big ups to you. Definitely big ups to you, bro, because hey man, we need it, bro. So now the film. The film is going to be premiering October 27th. How do you feel now, since now you're about to see the whole production coming to full? How do you feel?
Man, this is seeing something you wrote come to life. I've described it at one of the premieres before. It's my ultimate high. So, this is the third premiere that we've had at Focus Studios in the past 2 years. And less than that is the crazy part, because our first one was a year ago. Work Bay premiered in October last year. So this is really about to be our third premiere in a year. So I know what to expect. You never know what to expect as far as like how the audience is going to receive the film. Obviously, I think it's good, or I wouldn't have wrote it and spent all the time putting it together. But how many films have we seen that we even thought was going to be good before we got and that's just that it's the gift and the curse of filmmaking. Because I think that the good thing about being indie is that we got to be so creative because we ain't got no money.
Right.
So I think the creativity is fascinating in itself, because if you're going to see Black Panther or Black Adam or something like that, you already know this is $1 billion film. You're going to see everything's going to be perfect, and those types of films, I believe they're at a slight disadvantage because people's expectations are so super high. right? So, you know, you go see one of them movies and they mess up one thing and people will talk bad about it. You know, the good thing about being indie is that our bar is so low. You know, people don't expect much from indie. But I think the great thing about Focus Studios is we give people way more than they expect from an indie production, you know, especially at the level that we're at. You know, I'm doing this out of my own pocket at this point. You know, I haven't had investment of any kind besides the GoFundMe dollars that we raised for Bay vs. Bay earlier last year. But other than that, you know, we ain't seen no 100,000 or more. You know, we ain't seen nothing like that. Like we're doing super low budget films, but we find a way to do them amazingly. And one of those things is just because of my relationships, the people that I've met and the places that I had very good standing with over the years. You know, if I call in a favor, the answer is typically yes. And a lot of people don't have that. So, you know, I take my time. I take my you know, relationships very seriously. And I know that I'm gonna need people. So when people need me, you know, I'm there. I think the number one thing that I'm expecting, quite honestly, on Thursday night and Friday night, is I'm expecting people to take us seriously.
Okay.
That's the number one thing that I'm expecting. I think that Work Bay was for those that don't know, Work Bay was my first feature film that we released last year. It is now streaming on Tubi. It's a romantic comedy, very well written story. And I think the thing about that was like, that was accidentally good, you know, because we didn't take our time. We didn't, you know, plan for things that well. Work Bay was really a scrimmage. It was really a practice. I literally picked up the phone to actors and crew and was like, hey, what y'all doing? We were still in the middle of the pandemic. It was early 2021. I was like, what y'all doing? What y'all doing? You don't go outside? You don't go outside? Like who was gonna say no early 2020?
Right.
Pandemic, they don't want to go outside, they don't want to get busy. So, you know, I told everybody, I said, look, man, I'm tired. I gotta go outside. I gotta pick this camera up. You know, let's go do something, you know, before everybody is back enthralled in work or you know, back invested in something else. I caught people at a good time. And it just so happened to come together and was good, you know. I think the difference that people are going to see with Money Lovers is we took our time.
Okay.
You know? We worked on this one for 2.5 weeks, where we only did Work Bay for 7 or 8 days.
Wow.
This one I think we did 17 days on Money Lovers. We have, you know, a great acting cast, and that's no shot to the Work Bay cast, but we have great actors in this joint who are, you know, including myself. We're all no names, you know, we don't have any big movies out, but you're gonna see some potential stardom in this joint. You know, you're gonna see some people that you like, wow, they could hang with this person on this screen, you know. So I think that's gonna come across. And I think people are really gonna watch Money Lovers and take the Focus Studios brand seriously, meaning we're not for play. We're not okay with doing the low budget stuff for a long time. Like we're a company that is very worthy of investment. You know, we're very worthy of distribution. You know, we're out to prove that that's the company that we are. So that's the number one thing I'm expecting, is for some vouch to grow after people see Money Lovers.
I like that. I like that. How do you feel about let's talk about the film committee in Philly, right? How do you feel about the film, you know, community in Philly? Do you think that it needs to get more stronger? Do you think people need to start opening up their eyes? Because when it comes down to Philly, and I love Philly to death, that's my hometown, you know, Germantown, North Philly, love them. You know what I mean? How do you feel about that?
I feel two ways, man, and you could split those ways right down the middle, right? I feel like it's a mutual fault that Philadelphia isn't a bigger film mecca.
Yes.
And I say that because on one side, it is political, it is legislation, it is taxes and tax credits. Philly is not film friendly. When people do a film in Philadelphia, they usually do it because Philadelphia itself is a character in the film.
Mm-hmm.
If it can be done elsewhere because they don't need the Philadelphia character, people typically do it elsewhere. There's been a ton of movies shot in New York and in Austin and other places where they felt like they could make the city look like Philly. Like, I'm sure you guys remember, what was it, 21 Bridges or something like that?
Yeah.
That was supposed to be in Philadelphia, but most principal photography was shot in New York, you know. And it's things like that on the I don't want to say legislative, but the whole, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Municipal side, that need to be changed. There's a lot of things that need to be changed and just made easier because, you know, film coming to your city is like, it's like national, if not worldwide promotion. You know, look at the Adam Sandler movie that just did super well. You know, they put the city on a good map. And I just think that, you know, anytime you can promote your city in a positive light, it changes the perception of everything that's going on. And I don't think that municipalities and politicians link the absence of crime to cinema, TV, and film the way that they really should. You know, there was one interesting stat, not even interesting, mind-blowing stat about when Martin was on air. When Martin was on air and a new episode of Martin came out, crime in every major city across America went down. Think about that. Because people wanted to watch it, number one. Back then, you wasn't watching it outside. You had to go and take your ass in the house, sit down on the couch. So you was in the house, and your rival, your op, was in the house at the same time. And what were you in there doing? Your mood was being increased because you was in there laughing and joking, watching this program. You know what I'm saying? So that side of it is just something that, you know, I'm never going to be nobody's politician, but it's something to be said for, you know, art. And not even to mention that, you know, you'd give a lot of inner city youth a platform and opportunity to do something different with their lives if these things existed in our city. So that's the one side. And then the other side, obviously, is the creators. You know, I think, you know, there's even two sides to the creator, you know, debate, if you will. A lot of our best talent up and leaves Philadelphia, you know. A lot of our best talent up and leaves Philadelphia. And quite honestly, I never thought I would think about it, but I'm considering it now because of the first thing I mentioned, right? The ease. They got to make it easier to create here, you know, and I'll always do something here, but it's now I'm getting to a point where I'm looking at my pockets. I'm looking at my resources. I'm looking at, you know, different access points and things like that. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be here, you know, fully too much longer. And then the other side is with the creators again. One side is the creators up and leaving, but then the other side is the creators not galvanizing themselves. You know, I'm one of those people who's like, build a table. If you can't sit at somebody else's table, build your own table. I'm one of them people, and I just think a lot of not enough of that work goes on in Philadelphia either, and that's the creators' fault. That's our fault.
I can agree with you. I can agree with you on that because I left Philly and went to Atlanta and took off in radio. But I'm back. I'm back because I want to show folks at the end of the day, we can still do it. My problem with Philly is too much politics, number one. And everyone is not trying to, I'm not going to say everyone. Certain people are not trying to get together and build something special. It's to me is, oh, yo, yeah, he doing it over here, but you know what I mean? He don't want to come your way because he like, oh, that's a competition. And people don't realize the reason why Atlanta is so booming is because the network is so phenomenal down there, right? We can do the same. We can do the same. So my objective is for me is to do the same like they did in Georgia, right?
Mhm.
Let's come down here and network. Let's build this network up to the point of people be like, yo, when you go to Philly, bro, like everybody's eating down there.
Mhm.
Everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody is going to the same things. And that's my problem when it comes down to Philly. I love them to death. So I am trying to bring that in there because they always say your network is your net worth, right?
Mhm.
And that's a true statement. I don't care what nobody says. That's one of the truest statement out there. But
Mhm.
people want to always get paid for everything, right? Like, oh no, bro, like I'm not doing it for free. But don't realize that when you do something, something else might happen,
Right.
might put you in place of getting this bag.
Right.
And that's that's like one of my pet peeves when it comes down to all my Philly creators, all my Philly people who have things. Because I remember getting certain clubs, go to certain club, and they be like, all right, well, listen, bro, I know you doing it. We want to try you out.
Mm.
Next thing you know, you get tried out, then it takes off, and then
Right.
other people doing it. Up here. Oh no, bro, I need 1,500. You
Mhm.
sit back like, damn, bro, like you ain't even gonna give me a chance on this. Don't even worry about
That's that lack of hustle I talked about with the youth.
it. Yeah, man.
No more. I
Yeah,
shot,
man.
I shot videos for 18 months for free before somebody offered me $50. That was the happiest $50 I ever made in my life.
Man.
I was doing what I wanted to do.
Right, right.
But it took that grind to get there, and I wouldn't change that for nothing. And then at the same time, I wasn't dope. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't worth anybody else's hard earned money when I'm out there practicing for real.
Right.
For people pick up something new and they think, oh, I'm supposed to get paid for this tomorrow. Unless you're doing hard labor, breaking your back. If you're in a creative space, people will go. They always can find somebody doper. You
Yeah.
know. So why
Yeah.
why should I invest my money on you in a creative space if you not dope?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I knew
Yep.
that about myself. I was like, man, I just picked this camera up. I ain't dope. I got a lot to learn, but I got myself dope enough in those 18 months that, and I didn't even ask. This was somebody asked me, oh, how much you charge? I said,
Mm.
damn, I said, I don't even know. I said, what you give me what you want to give me? I'll give you $50. It's cool. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
I'll take it. And I would and that might sound like a little bit of money. That was 11 years ago now, almost 13, because we about to go into a new year. But that was that long ago. And to put that in perspective, when you talk about backstory, I was working. I had, I went through my whole starving artist years and all of that, quit my jobs, all of that type of stuff. But when I told y'all, I made up my mind, I was going to be a film director.
Mm-hmm.
I went and I got a job. I went to Comcast and I got a job, and I was making $80,000 a year, and I got that job as a means to an end. Like I went in knowing like, all right, I'm gonna hustle, I'm gonna put some bread up, I'm gonna get me a camera, and it's up. You know what I mean? That was why I went back to the job, because I wasn't even working when I lost that competition. I was just a starving artist, literally a starving artist. I was broke. I had no money. So the first thing in making my mind up was, all right, I gotta shore up my foundation. You know what I mean? And my son was like 4 at the time. So I was like, all right, I gotta shore up my foundation. Let me go back to work. So I went back to work, and that made life a lot easier. You got a good check coming in and all of that. You can stand on your own too and all of that. And I was used to, I don't know, my checks was like 16, 17, $2,000 if I had a good week. I'm used to that every week. So when I got that $50, it was crazy because I hadn't quit my job yet when I got that first payment. But I was like close to it. You know what I'm saying? I think I was like, it's probably months away from it, because that was in the summertime. And I think like 2-3 months after that was when I quit my job. But I say that to say this is for you entrepreneurs and you people that want to go into it. Like, I know y'all hear me say, oh, this was 11 years in the making until I did my first film. It ain't just quitting this up. No.
Right.
I probably didn't make $80,000 total, like altogether, for the next like 3 years combined with the camera, you know. So that period of life was a struggle as well, because now I'm fighting between, when I first got in the game, this gonna sound crazy, but I'm fighting telling people to get a video. Oh, you should get a video. People was hella content with photography. When I first got in the game as a videographer, people didn't want no video. People wasn't familiar with YouTube. Most people wasn't up on YouTube. They ain't had no YouTube account or YouTube page. You couldn't just post it on your social. So there wasn't no allure from me being like, oh, you could show this to everybody right on your social media. Like, no, it was just, when I first started, Twitter was the only thing, and Twitter wasn't even what they branched out the characters. It was like it was characters when Twitter first started. They hadn't even branched out the characters and let you put a link on Twitter yet when I first started. Right? You remember that?
That's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah.
You can imagine, bro, I'm trying to sell people video and they feel like they the only person that's going to get to see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I really first got in, because people wasn't, you know, right now you say that and it sounds crazy, like, because it's second nature for us to pull up a video right on the phone, right in the app, click a YouTube link. The link is in my bio. That's second nature now. But I used to have to sell all of that process to people. Well, you know, you could put it on YouTube. You could create a short link and put it here. You know, people could just copy and paste. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you put it on Twitter back then, it ain't link you nowhere. You get a copy of it, John, and go put it somewhere. So I say all of that to say I had to fight through that. And one of the best days of my career was when Twitter finally hyperlinked the link. It used to be a brother, well, he's still around, my man 80s Baby Rick, but he used to do this thing called the Day Party at the Arts Garage. And he was like, had the city on lock. So I was doing all his videos. And he was like a client I had around that time when that link turned to a hyperlink on Twitter. So he was able to hyperlink that joint and everybody was clicking on it via Twitter. So now that gave me, you know, some validity. Like, people was like, oh, all right, I could just use the Twitter link and all of that. You know what I mean? So that's when, like, my business started to go up. And then you got Instagram came in. Like, I was shooting before there was an Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Like, Instagram came in, and remember, it was first just photos. But then I think in 2014, maybe they went to the video.
I think it was like 2014, 2015. That's when they started going to videos.
And so like just little iterations of that, you know, started to raise my business and raise my game. Once people were able to be like, okay, I know I don't have to be trained or talked into how to post a video. Once people started to learn that, and they had started to learn that they needed content, then I started making some real money.
Bro, that is crazy, man, because, you know, when we talk about our backstories, right, and you just talking about it, it just brought back memories, because, you know, everybody have a podcast. Right?
Nowadays,
And I started out on Blog Talk. And when Blog Talk was only $20 for 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sitting back and I'm looking now and I'm like, damn, Blog Talk then went up to like damn near $60 just for an hour. And I'm like, yo, look how time has changed and how things have developed. And now we got to go through this time now doing certain things and learning new things. And now the video is the thing now, because I remember just working for 106.7 and I'm like, yo, like, you just hearing my voice now, and I gotta now we're seeing each other because of the pandemic. And I'm like, dang, bro. You know what I mean? So you gotta go with time. So listen, man. Hey, but I definitely appreciate you coming on here, joining us here on the show. What can people expect when they go see the film? You
talking about on 10/27 or 10/28 at the King of
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's talk about it.
You talking about moneylovers.eventbrite.com is where you can get your tickets. I'm gonna say it again real slow for y'all. moneylovers.eventbrite.com is where you can go get tickets to see this amazing romantic thriller called Money Lovers, starring myself and the incomparable Tiffany D, along with my man Francisco Joseph, Melissa Michaelchick, and Marco Rosario, and my man Porter Rich, amongst a ton of others. Oh, Ashley, where's she at? She right here, and she right here. Nikki G. Hewitt, shout out to her too, one of our co-stars. It's a good movie, man. It's different. I know a lot of times people they don't like going to the movies and having the same experience or seeing the same kinds of movies. The only thing similar to this is the romance. You guys have seen romance. Romance is a part of a good film, right? But our subject matter, I don't think there's another film out there that's talking about digital currency, especially digital currency exploitation and how people are stealing it. And I think that this is going to be a movie genre that grows, because that's where life is headed. Our life, or people doing NFTs and they're doing blockchains or validating other assets at this point in our lives. You can see that different organizations, whether it be stadiums or other different things you can purchase, are now accepting Bitcoin or Dogecoin or Litecoin, Ethereum. So that's going to create this whole new world of criminals that's, figuring out how to do this the illegal way. And that's exactly what this movie is about. So I think the subject matter in itself is going to hold people's attention. I think the actors are great. And I think you should be there at 10/27 or 10/28. I'll briefly explain those nights. 10/27 is our VIP night. That's when our cast and crew is coming dressed to impress. You don't have to dress to impress if you don't want, but it is a money green carpet event. So if you want to jump in them flicks and look good with us and all of that, throw on something a little bit to fly, but you don't have to. And then 10/28 is just general admission. Everybody coming out to have a good time and check the movie out. That's a Friday night, so we expect to have a nice crowd that night as well. But we definitely gonna have a big crowd on Thursday night, coming to see the movie for the very first time. Moneylovers.eventbrite.com.
So where can everybody find you at on any social media platform?
Easy peasy. I'm at Kyree Terrell on everything. So if you can see my name on this screen, it's at KYREETERRELL. I'm at Kyree Terrell anywhere you're looking for me.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you so much for joining us here in the show, man. You know what? We'll talk. We'll talk. We're gonna talk, bro. Yeah, definitely. Well, look, man, I appreciate you, man. Much success on everything that you are doing, man. Big ups to you, man. Big ups to the crew. Make sure everybody go ahead and check out Down the King of Prussia.
Yeah,
like you said. Listen, y'all know where King of Prussia at. Don't act like y'all know where King of Prussia at. Y'all be going down there to go to the all the expensive stores. So y'all go ahead.
Free sacks, they be up there, right? Come on up there. I appreciate you. Thank you. Shout out to you, your listeners, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man. Take it easy, man. Enjoy the rest of your day, man. And enjoy Red October, baby, because the Phillies is there. I got the Phillies in 6. I like that. I got them in 6.
I like that. Man. I'll take that.
Yes, sir. All right, bro. Appreciate you, man. All right. Oh, man. Good show. Once again, y'all. Philly's own Kyree Terrell joined us here in the show. Make sure y'all go ahead and check out his film, Money Lovers, out there at King of Prussia Mall, October 27th and 28th. Make sure y'all go ahead and check him out. Check him out on all social media platforms. Make sure y'all check your boy out on all social media platforms. OT Radio Show on all of social media, even YouTube. Everything is all the same. I love y'all. Y'all be good. And I will see y'all tomorrow, same time, same place. Hey, we got a good show for y'all tomorrow, too. All right. Love y'all. Peace.